Hey, what's going on, guys? If you're a sports fan, then boy, what a weekend it's been. This weekend we've had pretty much every sport going on. We've had the Six Nations, we had UFC 248, Adesanya versus Romero. It was a highly anticipated fight. We thought it was going to be full of fireworks, but unfortunately, it didn't quite reach the hype. It was a bit dull, but Adesanya got the job done, took the win, still the champion. Now, the fight which actually took the headlines was Joanna versus Wei Li. That was full of action from start to finish. So many strikes thrown. Oh, it's crazy. It was crazy. Wei Li took the win and remains to be the champion. But in the UFC, even the prelims were pretty good. We had guys like Sean O'Malley. That was a good fight. Quick TKO from him. It was a good UFC overall. Also last night, we had boxing at the Manchester Arena. Scott Quigg, he's a local lad from Bury, and unfortunately, the fight didn't go his way. He is a former world champion and that, but just got a little bit outclassed last night, and so like I said, it didn't go his way. And today we've had the Manchester derby. Football, City versus United. United came out on top. It was 2-0. I'm not a hardcore Red, but I've grown up watching United, so I was happy about the result, and it was a good game. I like basketball. I don't watch it all the time, but tonight, we've got Lakers versus the Clippers later. I think it's starting soon, in fact. So let me get this done, and then I'll probably throw that on whilst getting some other stuff done. But loads of sports. But like saying, we're not here to talk about just any sports. We're here for bodybuilding, and this weekend, of course, it was the Arnold Classic, and what a show it was. Lots to talk about, so let's get to it. Now, let's talk about the winner. The main guy, William Bonac. He looked absolutely exceptional in the pre-judging. Great package, good conditioning, very good conditioning, fullness, good symmetry, which was actually quite surprising because he actually suffered from a leg injury. He had some kind of nerve damage going on, so he couldn't feel his leg, and I believe it started to waste away a little bit. So he had one leg bigger than the other, but he managed to sort that out, and come show date, he looked, it was not noticeable at all. So well done to William Bonac. And on top of things, he preps himself now. He has his friend kind of giving them a second eye in that, but done really well. Look, like I said, looked great in pre-judging. Come the night show, he didn't look quite as good. He still looked great, but not as good as the pre-judging. Now, in second, we've had Dexter Jackson. The guy is just Mr. Consistency. He comes in great shape. In the pre-judging, looked really good. Good balanced physique. He looked in good condition, but in the night show, he was even tighter and looked a little bit fuller. So things started to just pop a little bit more. And I'd say that he did start to push Bonac in the night show, but I think Bonac, because he looked so well in the pre-judging, he was too far ahead. I had a look on the scorecards. I put them up on this video, in fact, and they give Bonac 5s all the way through, which is top marks. Now, I thought it was a little bit not off, like I said, but not as good in the evening. But they give him top marks, and he was the clear winner. Now, in third, we had Big Grammy, who wasn't in terms of scorecards, he was only 1 point out of being second between him and Dexter. So it was very, very close. Obviously, he's an absolutely huge guy, and just outmuscles pretty much everyone on stage. So he's got that to his benefits. But I think with Big Ramy, we've all got huge expectations, and because he's been away from the scene for a little bit, and when he come back, we thought we all had this picture of how he needs to look, and I know I did anyway. And when he came, I wasn't totally blown away. So I don't know if I've set my expectations too high, but don't get me wrong, he did look really good. His condition looked really well, especially when he stood on his own in the pre-judging, doing his routine. I thought, fucking hell, he might even push for the win. But then when you put him in the lineup, and he just did not look as tight at all. Coming to the night show, he did look well. It did get better in the night show, but in the pre-judging, he started to fade a little bit as well. And yeah, like I said, in the scorecards, he could have been like, it was 1 point out from being second. So yeah, him and Dexter, you could have went either way, to be honest. But he did look good. It was his first show with his new coach, Chad Nichols. So to be honest, it was a good showing. But you know, Chad said it was £310 in a week when he was carving up, and so he would have been around £300 on stage. Really, I think he could have lost a few more pounds, to be honest. He does not need to be that big, especially those quads. They are absolutely huge, but they're that big. I don't know if they throw his physique off a little bit, and just not normal. Not normal, but very impressive at the same time. It's crazy, but it'll be very interesting to see what him and Chad can do, like in the later shows this year. Now in fourth place, we have Steve Kucklow. You know, he had a really sharp physique. He's a big guy, really big guy, and got a lot of muscle. You know, I was very impressed. Very impressed. He looked good in the pre-judging, looked good at night, but maybe not quite as good at night. But I'm not sure if it was the fact that he didn't look as good, or just the other people got better. You know, it was it was a good showing for Steve. And what made it interesting was at the night show, you know, they done the comparisons a little bit different. So at first brought the 4 out, and then they called Steve out again in the second call out. So that gave him chance to like compare him to the guy who came 5th, which was Sergio Oliva Jr. Now, Sergio, he looked very good, very, very good, very sharp. I knew he was going to bring good conditioning because I saw like pictures and videos of him like leading up into the show, so I had no doubt that he's going to be in shape. He was big, but he does need a little bit more muscle on his frame, because he's got such like a big frame and it just needs filling out just a touch more. But I was very impressed. Unfortunately, you know, the call outs were great, in all honesty, in my opinion. Like for the pre-judging and that, I thought they need to mix people around a little bit more. And but in the night show, we got, like I said, he had his chance to stand next to Steve, and he gave Steve a run for his money. I think he might have actually looked better than Steve at night. I think that's there was a good case for him coming 4th, but you know, it's a tough show. It was a hard one to call, but yeah, really good luck for Sergio Oliva Jr. Now, and the guy who came 6th, Mr. Cedric. You know, he's just that guy who has it all, but doesn't bring it all, if you know what I mean. He's like, he just does his own thing. And in the pre-judging, he did look good. He looked decent, but didn't have the elite level conditioning. But when he came out at night, he did look much better. He did look much sharper. His legs looked a little bit downsized, in all honesty. That was one of the things which I looked at like in the pre-judging. I'm not sure if it just weren't as full or what, but yeah, that kind of threw things off a bit. But his physique is so great, you know, it carries him a long way, and it certainly shoves him up a few places just from having that shape. You know, it's absolutely phenomenal, really. So well done to Cedric. In 7th place, we had Akeem Williams. Now, he looked really good. His conditioning was great, you know, top to bottom. But I couldn't say the same like front to back, because the lower half of him at the back, it looked good, you know, hamstrings and glutes and that. But he has trouble like getting his back in. You know, there's a lot of theories behind this, and like saying that maybe he's just got that thick skin, which is just hard to get conditioned, or some people say that he can't get conditioned. But we'll see. You know, people said that, you know, like a couple of years ago, that where he was really struggling with condition, you know, that, and the same about the rest of his body, but he's found a way to bring that in. And I think that if he just keeps pushing, keeps working with his coach, you know, he'll find a way to bring his back in even sharper. Another thing about Akeem was that he started to fade like the longer he was left out in the lineup. So he started off really good, got some posing going on and what's not. And then, you know, he just didn't look as conditioned, didn't look as sharp. But overall, it still was a very good showing. He's got a whole heap of muscle, so much muscle, and a really good shape. So well done to Akeem. Now, the guy came 8th. I was really, really, really impressed with. It was Max Charles. You know, he was absolutely peeled, shredded, you know, top to bottom, front to back, you know, inside out. Probably the best showing of Max Charles that I've seen. His balance looked a lot better than usual. His legs used to look quite small. They didn't look not quite up to par with his upper body, but it was a much better balance between the top and bottom. And like I said, his conditioning was like second to none. So I was really impressed with what he brought, and yeah, you know, he should be very proud of himself because he looked sick, he really did. Now in 9th place we had Victor Martinez. He looked a lot better than last year. He looked bigger, but still downsized, you know, to when he was at his peak in like say 2007. You know, where he had so much muscle. He was just huge, and unfortunately he's not the same bodybuilder as he was back then. You know, his legs have downsized. Like just overall he's downsized. You know, he doesn't have that same thickness. I don't think he's moving the same kind of weights as he used to when he trains. You know, he's an older guy. He's like, I think it's about 46 now. So, you know, he's getting on a bit. But conditioning was okay, but he just weren't shredded. But you know, it was a good look overall, and like I said, it was better than last year. So well done to Victor. Now 10th place. This guy, I saw so much about this guy online. It's crazy, like all the hype going into the show about how well he's going to do this and that, and you know, but I knew that he wasn't big enough, and that's Patrick Moore. Now he came 10th. You know, it's his first Arnold Classic, so it's not something to be ashamed of or anything. He brought a decent package, but the conditioning wasn't there like it was at the Olympia. You know, at the Olympia, his glutes were shredded and everything, and he really stood out. And in this show, yeah, he did not look as sharp. In the pre-judging, he looked a little bit flat, and because he's not as big as the other guys as it is, when you flat, you look even smaller. So yeah, there's a lot of big guys there, and they needed to be full and conditioned, and unfortunately, it just wasn't. In the night show, maybe a little bit better, but yeah, it just didn't have it this time. So not the best look. Like I say, he's still new to the game. You know, he's not been on circuit for that long. Obviously, he had a great Olympia and probably should have been bumped up a few places there. But in this lineup, it was very tough. A lot of big guys, a lot of heavily muscled guys, and you know, a lot of people brought the conditioning. So you know, you really need to bring it for this, and unfortunately he didn't. So but you know, I am a big fan. I do like his physique. He's got a, you know, great shape, nice tiny waist, which everyone talks about, and yeah, a lot of potential. Like, so we'll see how he gets on in the future. Hopefully he puts a few more pounds on, and you know, just keeps plugging away. Now, also at the Arnold Classic, there's a couple of awards which get handed out. We had the Ed Corney Best Posing Award, and that went to Sergio Oliva Jr. It was, you know, his posing routine was really good. I think he was just, you know, when it comes to posing bodybuilding in the open class, not many people give it a whole heap of effort. You know, Cedric can pose. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, Cedric McMillan, he can pose. Sergio, he seems to just really enjoy posing, and there's a few other guys who do like a bit, but not an awful lot. So yeah, even coming onto the show, he knew that he was going to win that award, and yeah, well done to him, much deserved. And for the other award, it was a Franco Colombo Most Muscular Award, and that went to the big man, Big Grammy, because boy, he's just big, muscular. He is just one big muscle. So yeah, they might not have got the top spot, but they got a nice little bonus of 10 grand each there. So yeah, well done to them. Overall, Arnold Classic, it was really good to watch, and yeah, it really set like the standard for this year. Like I said, there's a lot of big names in that. It was a very tough show, so regardless of the placing, it was a high caliber show, and I don't think there's going to be another show like that up until like the Olympia this year. So, yeah, no, it's it's going to be interesting anyway this year for sure. But guys, thanks for watching. Let me know your opinions of the show if you watched it. What do you think? Did the judges get it right? What did you think of Big Grammy? Yeah, let me know.